Good evening to you all. Myself, Dr. Sen Gupta from Board of Studies Academic, would like to welcome each one of you in the class of Financial Management. With me, already your faculty, CA Dweep is there. We'll be taking you through to this particular session, the second session of Financial Management. And today we'll be, covering the second part. Sir has taken the first class, and today we'll be covering the second part of it. Now, giving little bit of background or introduction to the financial management or working capital management in particular, you all know this is basically a short-term decision-making part. And in this particular part, there are various segments. So working capital is not one concept, but it's a combination of different areas. So initially, what sir has discussed with you that how the operating cycle can be calculated. When we are talking about the operating cycle, it means that from cash to cash. So there will be raw material, there will be work in progress, there will be finished goods, there will be debtors, and then it will be converted into cash. Okay. So that estimation we have already done, that how that estimation of working capital cycle can be done and how it can be calculated. Mind you, that we get some days as receivables. Receivables also take some days. So credit as well as the credit we are giving, that means receivable and payables. So those two adjustment also need to be done in case of working capital. So when you will be calculating the working capital cycle days, please keep that in mind, that how this working capital cycle days can be calculated. Already sir has discussed, and you have practiced some numerical. I'll request all of you to practice more and more numerical. Along with that, what will be discussed today is the estimation of working capital requirement. So what is the requirement of working capital? There will be certain values will be given, certain days will be given, and you need to cover it, that how the estimation of working capital is to be done, or what will be the requirement of overall working capital. Already you know that we have discussed that working capital is the lifeblood of business. So if you do not understand that what will be your requirement of working capital, then you may not be able to operate the business effectively. So the estimation of working capital becomes of paramount importance. Then in the second part, receivable management. Receivable management means we are selling the goods, products on credit, and we are supposed to get the money from our customer, from our debtors, and how those money to be taken into account, which are the credit policy which is better suited for the organization, evaluation of various credit policies, then factoring also will come into play. So that's another very important part of this working capital management. Then the third will be the inventory management, though we have specifically studied it in the subject of cost and management accounting in material. But inventory is also important part of the working capital management. Then the next one comes is your cash management, treasury management. So that's another very important part. Cash flow budgeting, how it is needed to be taken into account. What are the models which need to be taken into account? Also the payables, like receivables, we are supposed to get money. We are also supposed to pay money. So creditors are also there. So that also you should be taking into account, and the management of payable is also important. So cost and benefit of the trade credit also to be taken. The computation of cost of payables also to be considered while making any decision. Then financing of working capital. Obviously there are different kind of requirement of working capital, and financing of working capital need to be done based on your requirement. Then working capital finance from banks, how the banks is going to give you, what are the options you will have, what are the forms of bank credit you have. So this all permutation and combination basically you are required to study in this particular chapter. So please keep in mind, when you are calculating the working capital cycle, the operating cycle of working capital, the credit period availed is to be reduced. So maybe the days of raw material, WIP, finished goods, as well as receivables to be added, but the days we are availing the credit to be reduced. That's the one very important part of when you are calculating the operating cycle, because the way we give credit, we also take some credit, so that days also need to be taken into consideration. In as far as the examination is concerned, all this kind of question comes: working capital requirement, operating cycle, receivable management, factoring, cash management, all kind of questions may come. Another issue we have seen very recently, certain queries that whether we should be taking 360 days or we should be taking 365 days. In working capital, when the month are not associated, when the figures are given in month, 5 months, 6 months, if you convert that months into days, then it has to be multiplied into 3. And in that case, when you are converting the month, you can take a total of 360 days. Otherwise, when you are taking the total year, it has to be 365 days. Obviously, in the question paper, if nothing is mentioned, then both 360 days and 365 days can probably, work for the students. So accordingly you can do. So this is one question which has come, which you have come across. And in the overall financial management also, when the daily calculation, daily involvement is not there, you may take the 365 days. But when day calculation is there, month calculation is there, and you are converting that, then the 360 days will be more appropriate. Regarding examination, there can be different kind of question, but factoring and receivable management, these are the area I think you should be practicing more and more. There can be varieties of question in these areas, and when sir will be teaching, you please put your full concentration, and then that how this concept to be understand, how this concept to be you know uh, formalized, and particularly understanding the concept, and then you can practice different kind of question. So when you are preparing this statement of working capital based on different ratios, different values, you need to be very careful that how you are calculating that working capital requirement. If you have any question, obviously sir is there, one of our BS faculty is also there, you can always ask question. If you have any preliminary queries to me before sir take over, you can always ask me. And otherwise I'll request Deep, who is explaining the concept very well. Thank you, Mr. Deep, for explaining the concept to the students, and also giving a lot of practice to the students. I am sure that you will be getting a lot of benefit from attending these classes. If you have any immediate question, anything, you can ask me right now. Otherwise, I'll request
Good
sir
evening,
to
sir.
kindly take it over.
Good
Yeah,
evening, sir. So
good
we have
evening.
a three classes daily, and which takes almost 9 hours. So we have a left from a very small hours for this self study. So there is a regular class of 9 hours and 8.5 hours. So how to compete with this problem, because there are many things which without self study we cannot we cannot we cannot get the
See,
good marks.
which
So
group you are appearing? Are you appearing in two groups? I think that will be two
oh
classes
yeah,
only, not three classes. Only two classes. Some of the classes are revisionary classes only. Only two classes, one in the morning, one in the evening. That's all. Not three classes.
No, sir, it's
And for appearing in the two group, then this much study is required. So six, maybe 2 5 hour classes, and then balance you can practice.
sir.
And huh,
Sir, three classes are scheduled in a day. One in
okay,
afternoon.
okay, one in afternoon.
Yes,
Fine.
sir.
Then accordingly, you need to find out that which are the important areas you need to cover. So accordingly, you have to manage. Correct. But self study is important. There is no doubt about that. Self study is very, very important. Anything related to financial management, anything related to the subject, anybody? Okay, Deep, I'll request you to kindly take it forward, and thank you very much for allowing me to speak in the beginning of the classes. Kindly take it over.
Okay. Thank you, Sain sir, for briefly recapping what we have completed till now and what we would be completing in the future, and just a crisp background on the entire chapter. It was wonderful. Thank you, sir. So, yes, taking that forward, students, let's start with today's session. But before starting with today's session, let me just briefly recap what we have studied in our last session of working capital management. So, firstly, we understood the meaning of the term working capital management. Then I gave you a short story about restaurant so that your concept of the meaning of the term gets crystal clear. Then we learned about the format, like what format shall we follow while calculating or while solving the practical problem on working capital management. After that, we also learned about the standard assumptions, unless otherwise specified, of this chapter. Okay, there were three standard assumptions. All activity accrue evenly throughout the year. Working capital will be estimated for those business organizations that are into manufacturing industry. And third, but not the least, working capital estimation would be for the entire coming year. ठीक है, ये तीन standard assumptions सीखे थे. After that, we covered the concept, we learned the concept of working capital operating cycle. It is nothing but a process of converting cash back into cash. So cash that we pay for raw materials and cash that we receive from our customers. Okay? Then how to calculate operating cycle, we have learned the formula as well. And after that, we solved couple of practical problems. So in today's session, we would be solving more and more practical problems so that your overall conceptual clarity on estimation of working capital part is totally clear. Now, in today's session, there would be some special adjustments where the standard assumptions, जो तीन standard assumptions थे ना, उसमें से first standard assumption would not hold true now in some of the questions. So we will see that, we will learn that. And at the end of the session, we will just learn a short theory about financing of working capital. Like once the amount is estimated, how much we need, next step is to raise that finance, yes or not. We have estimated the amount that we need. Now, next step as a financial manager is to raise those funds, raise those capital. So what could be the different sources of raising working capital? We would learn that. Okay? Sounds good? So let's start with practical problem number 1. See, working capital management is in your module 2. Okay? Module 2 mein management of working capital. Now, if you see, there are subunits under management of working capital. There are 6 units. So unit 1 is all about the concepts of working capital management. But since we have almost covered all the concepts, today we will go for practical problems. So please open unit 6, financing of working capital. उसमें सारे practical problems ज़्यादा है. So please open unit 6, financing of working capital, and come to page number 15. Practical problem number 1. ठीक है, everyone? Are you there? Are you with me? Following information is forecasted by R Limited for the year ending 31st March 22. So entire information is estimation for the coming year. ठीक है, पूरे एक साल की डिटेल्स है, पूरे एक साल का एस्टिमेशन है. So balance as at 31st March 22, balance as at 31st March 21. Raw material, work in progress, FG receivable. So this is raw material ka stock. Estimation of raw material ka stock. WIP 51 lakh is WIP ka stock. Then we have FG, then we have receivables, then we have payables. Then next part is annual purchase of raw material on all credit is 400 lakhs. Annual cost of production is 450 lakhs. COGS is 525. annual operating cost is 325 and annual sales all on credit is 585 lakhs. You may take 1 year as equal to 365 days. So this problem specifically has said that use 365 days in a year. Okay? You are required to calculate net operating cycle period, number of operating cycles in a year, and amount of working capital required. Okay? So again, this question is, you can clearly see that it is based on the concept of working capital operating cycle. Now, operating cycle, there are two types. One is gross operating cycle. I told you, gross operating cycle is nothing but the sum of RM holding period plus WIP holding period plus FG holding period and plus receivables collection period. Okay? That is gross. And if we subtract the average payment period that is allowed by suppliers to us, that is nothing but the credit allowed by supplier to us. If we subtract that, we get net operating cycle period. I hope you remember this. So first part, calculation of net operating cycle period. Just see how I approach towards the solution. Huh? Just learn that as well. So first I gave the heading. Second step is you write the formula. It is nothing but RM holding period plus WIP holding period plus FG holding period plus debtors collection period or debtors holding period, that is also fine, or receivables collection period. And from this we subtract payables payment period or creditors holding period. Okay, so first step is to write down the formula. Now, once formula is written, target each and every variable individually. Now target first, just target RM holding period. So RM holding period, working note one, number one, calculation of RM holding period. बस अभी इसको ही target करो. Your mind, your brain should just focus on calculation of RM holding period. Okay? So we know RM holding period का formula we know. It is nothing but average raw material stock. And can I say raw material is always based on raw material consumption, which is nothing but RMC. Into, since we have to calculate in days, we will multiply it by 365. If you want answer in weeks, then multiply by 52. And if you want answer in months, then multiply it by 12. Okay? So tell me, what is the average stock of raw material? Bolo. Can I say average stock of raw material is nothing but opening plus closing divided by 2? Opening stock plus closing stock divided by 2? Yes or no? I hope आपने average किया है. So 65 plus 45 divided by 2, which comes to 55. So average RM stock comes to 55 lakhs. And how much is the raw material consumption in a year? Bolo, tell me. Tell me the figure of raw material consumption in a year. My question to you all. Sir, दिया है ना 400 lakhs. Hey, how 45? Annual raw material consumption. Stock ही 55 lakhs है, तो how can raw material consumption be 45 lakhs? Average stock is only 55 lakhs. So consumption तो ज्यादा ही होगा ना? Tell me, how much would be the raw material consumption? Sir, 400 lakh दिया है ना? No, that 400 lakh is incorrect. Huh? That is raw material purchase. What is the formula to calculate raw material consumption? It is nothing but opening stock of raw material plus purchases less closing stock. I hope you know this formula, or I hope you know this concept. ठीक है, तो opening stock is 45 plus purchase is 400 lakhs closing stock is 65. कितना आ रहा है 445 minus 65, 380 lakhs. So it comes to 380 lakhs. So can I say my raw material holding period is nothing but 55 lakh divided by 380 into 365. कितना है? You can round it off to the nearest amount. So 52.83. So you can take it as 53 days approx. So 53 days is my raw material holding period. Means what, you know? इसको interpret कैसे करेंगे? Today if I buy raw material from supplier, buy, not payment. Today if I buy raw material from supplier, I will store it in my warehouse for 53 days and then I will issue it for production. इसका मतलब ये हुआ. ठीक है? Next is WIP holding period. So again, the formula still, the logic or the principle of formula still remains the same. It is nothing but average WIP stock, and WIP is always based on cost of production multiply by 365. So tell me, what is the average WIP stock? Opening plus closing divided by 2. So opening is 35, closing is 51. So there is a gap of 16. So 8, 43 lakhs. Yes, correct, 43. And cost of production is directly given to you in the question. Annual cost of production is 450 lakhs. So can I say my WIP holding period would be 43 divided by 450 into 365. 35 days. So it takes 35 days for my raw material to get converted into finished goods. मतलब process का time is 35 days. Means my raw material, मान लो मुझे शर्ट बनानी है. So the cloth piece stays in the process, in the production for 35 days before it gets completed into a complete shirt. ठीक है? Next is FG holding period. So again, the principle remains same. It is nothing but average FG stock, and finished goods is always based on cost of goods sold. Obviously, we will sell only those goods which are finished, right? Which are complete. So what is the average FG stock? Opening plus closing divided by 2. 65 lakhs. Correct? And COGS is directly given, 525 lakh. So 65 lakhs. So FG holding period, 65 divided by COGS is 525 into 365 days. So how much is FG stock? 45 days. So how will you interpret this 45 days? Very simple. Once finished goods is ready, this shirt piece is ready, customers will not be standing outside the factory line laga ke. No. It has to be stored in warehouse, in my godown for some time. So it takes 45 days for my shirt piece to get sold. ठीक है? आज बन गया, आज प्रोड्यूस हो गया, आज ये शर्ट बन गया, but it will take 45 days to get sold to the customers. So that is FG holding period. Next is debtors collection period. So again, the formula, the principle remains same. Average debtors upon net credit sales. Debtors is always based on sales, credit sales, and not on total sales. Okay, so average debtors in our present case is how much? It is 135 plus 112 divided by 2. 123.5. Okay. And all sales are on credits. It is given in the question. So 123.5 lakh is my average debtors. So therefore, debtors collection period is equal to 123.5 divided by 585 into 365. कितना आ रहा है? 77 days. Means if I sell my product to customer, they will take 77 days to make the payment for that sales. ठीक है? So customer is availing 77 days of credit from me. Last but not the least, creditors payment period. It is nothing but average creditors divided by net credit purchases, and not on consumption. Students, यहाँ पे many of the students do mistake. यहाँ पे denominator में they take the amount of raw material consumption which is 380 lakhs, and raw material consumption में they take 400 lakh which is purchase का amount. So don't do this mistake. We have commonly and frequently seen this. Average creditors is 71 plus 68, 69.5. Yes, correct. So 69.5 lakhs. So therefore, creditors payment period is equal to 69.5. Purchases are 400 lakhs and not 380 lakhs. 380 lakhs is consumption. 63 days. So how will you interpret this 63 days? 63 days is nothing but the time taken to make the payment to my supplier. Means if I buy the raw materials today, I will make the payment of that purchase after 63 days. Okay? So with this, we have calculated all the holding periods. Just we have to simply apply in the above formula. बस यहाँ पे apply करनी है. So my net operating cycle period is equal to raw material was 53 days. WIP was 35 days. FG was FG 45 days. Debtors was 77 days and creditors was 63 days. बोलो कितना आ रहा है? 147 days. Means एक cycle को complete होने में, or in other words, today if I have removed cash for making the payment to my supplier, that same cash will come back to me after 147 days with profit. ठीक है, इसका मतलब ये हुआ. Today, again I am repeating, today if I pay cash to the supplier for buying the raw material, this cash will come back to me in the form of cash with profit after 147 days. ठीक है? So ऐसे number of cycles कितने होंगे in a year? If one cycle takes 147 days, then in a year we know that it is 365 days. So how many number of cycles will be completed in a year? Can I say it is nothing but 365 days divided by 147? 2.48 cycles. ठीक है? So just check that. Can you see अपना 147 days था, maybe because of that rounding, and this comes to around 2.48, 2.5. Okay. So now third part. What does third part say? Amount of working capital required. So my amount of working capital required, first of all, we would see that my working capital is generally blocked, or the funds that are blocked is generally in the operating cost, in the cash operating cost. Are you getting this? So in the entire year, my annual operating cost, or the amount blocked in operating cost in the entire 365 days is how much? It is कितना amount block हो रहा है in my operating cost? 325 lakhs. ठीक है? This is for entire year. But if I get funds, or if I'm able to raise funds for 147 days, then my job is done. Why? Because after 147th day, I will receive cash from debtors, and then वो cash वाली cycle चलती रहेगी. So I just need to manage the fund. I just need to manage the working capital required for 147 days. Are you getting this? So 147 days के लिए कितना? ठीक है? So it comes to 325 lakhs into 147 divided by 365. So I just need to manage the funds for 147 days. पूरे 325 lakhs की जरूरत नहीं है. If I'm able, because 325 lakh is for the entire year. But if I'm able to manage the funds that is needed for 147 days, my job is done, because after that cycle will continue. पैसा आ जाएगा debtor से, and the cycle will go on and on and on and on. ठीक है? So आपको सिर्फ 147 days तक का मैनेज करना है. 130.89. Are you following, friends? समझा आपको? So this is the amount of working capital that you need to manage. पूरा 350 lakh नहीं, not entire 325 lakh. If you are able to just manage funds for 130.89 lakhs, your job is done. Because after 147 days, can I say you will receive money from debtors? So money you will buy raw materials from supplier, and the cycle goes on and on and on and on. Okay? So this is a complete packaged question on operating cycle. Another way of solving is 325 lakhs. That is nothing but annual operating cost divided by number of operating cycles. तो भी यही आंसर आएगा. Are you following? But उसका logic is this. बोलो, any doubts, any questions before we move ahead to next problem? समझा सबको? Clear? Okay. Let's move to practical problem number 3. Today I will try and cover as much practical problem as possible. ठीक है? बहुत सारे unique special adjustments वाले questions भी हो गए. So you need to pay attention and you need to be very careful with that part. Question number 3. This question is a combination of financial ratios and working capital. ये दोनों का hybrid problem है. It covers the concept of financial ratios that you have already studied, and also about working capital management. ठीक है? The following figures and ratios are related to a company. Sales all on credit 90 lakhs. GP ratio is given. Fixed asset turnover ratio. So ideally, the formula to calculate fixed asset turnover ratio is sales upon total fixed asset. But here they have specifically mentioned that calculate fixed asset turnover based on COGS. So our formula will be COGS divided by fixed assets. Okay? Stock turnover, again, it is always based on COGS only. Liquid ratio. What is liquid ratio? The another term is quick ratio. And how to calculate liquid ratio? It is nothing but current assets less inventory divided by current liabilities. Correct? Yeah. I hope you remember, you recollect the formulas that you have learned in the ratios chapter. Current ratio. Then we have debtors collection period, reserves and surplus to share capital ratio, capital gearing. What is capital gearing ratio? Tell me. Let me test your conceptual clarity. Let me test your knowledge. What is capital gearing ratio? Batao. No, no one? Try. Even if it's wrong, that's fine, but you should try. Capital gearing ratio. लेवरेज रेशियो नाम नहीं, कैसे कैलकुलेट करते हैं वो बताओ. आई एम नॉट कंसर्न विद द नेम्स, आई एम कंसर्न विद हाउ टू कैलकुलेट दैट. इट इज नथिंग बट capital that bears fixed percentage. So can I say fixed percentage capital are only two, debt and preference shares, divided by capital that does not bear any fixed percentage payout. So can I say it would be equity plus reserves? Yeah. And fixed asset to net worth. Net worth is nothing but your owner's fund. Owner's fund includes equity share capital, reserves and surplus, everything less miscellaneous expense to the extent not written off. Okay? Prepare balance sheet of the company and also prepare statement of working capital required if the provision for contingency is 15% of net working capital. So this 15% is nothing but the safety margin. Okay? So yes, let's calculate and prepare the balance sheet. You are free to use the T format of balance sheet. You are free to use vertical format of balance sheet, whatever is comfortable to you. FM में सब चलता है. ठीक है, so balance sheet हम बनाते हैं पहले. Let's prepare a format of balance sheet. So I would have share capital, then I would have reserves and surplus. Because question में share capital to reserves and surplus ratio दिया हुआ है. Then I would have capital bearing fixed percentage. So long term debt. Then obviously current ratio and liquid ratio hai, so there would be amount of current liabilities as well. Then on the asset side, fixed asset hoga. And we would be having current assets. Ideally, in every business organization, you would see three current assets. One is debtors, one is inventory, which is nothing but stock, one is cash bank balance. ये तीन तो हो गए होंगे. And then total of liabilities and assets. So once the format is ready, you know ratios is just like a treasure hunt game. एक क्लू से दूसरे क्लू से तीसरे क्लू से चौथे क्लू and at the final destination. ठीक है? So ratios chapter is just a game of treasure hunt. This is what I believe. So start from the very first clue. Okay. So very first clue is COGS. Because two ratios are based on COGS. So if we are able to calculate COGS, we would get the amount of fixed asset and we would get the amount of stock. Okay? So start with the first clue. Working note 1. Calculation of COGS. Okay? So if GP ratio is 35%, so can I say my COGS ratio would be 65% on sales? Yes or no? GP is on sales. So my COGS ratio would be 65% on sales. Therefore, COGS in amount would be 90 lakhs into 65% into 0.65. कितना आ रहा है? 9 6 are 54 and 4.58.5. 58 lakh 50,000 आ रहा है? Yes, correct. So from COGS, first clue is done. Now go on to the next clue with the help of this COGS. Can I say we will be able to calculate fixed assets? Calculation of fixed assets using fixed asset turnover ratio. Okay? The ideal formula, the actual formula of fixed asset turnover ratio is sales upon total fixed asset. But question has specifically mentioned that use COGS for calculating fixed asset turnover ratio. The formula would be COGS divided by fixed assets. Okay? How much is the total fixed asset turnover ratio given? It is 1.5. So can I say 1.5 is equal to 5850 divided by X? We don't know the amount of fixed asset. Therefore, X is equal to fixed asset is equal to 58 lakh 50,000 divided by 1.5. कितना आ रहा है? 39 lakhs. 39 lakhs. करेक्ट? तो यहां पे आप बैलेंस शीट में फिक्स्ड असेट में 39 lakhs लिख दो. एंड ये 39 lakhs हमने कहां से कैलकुलेट किया? तो गिव रेफरेंस ऑफ वर्किंग नोट नंबर 2 that this 39 lakhs has been calculated from working note number 2. You have to give reference of working note as well. It creates a good impression. Okay? So this is done. Now working note number 3. Calculation of stock using stock turnover ratio. So the formula to calculate stock turnover ratio is nothing but COGS. Ideally, it is COGS upon average stock. But to calculate average, we need opening balance sheet, which is not given in the question. So in absence of that information, we will use closing stock. ठीक है? अगर opening की information दी होती, then we would take average. 6. Stock turnover ratio is 6. 6 is equal to 5850 divided by X. Therefore, X is equal to closing stock. कितना आ रहा है? 6 9s are 54. 975. ठीक है? तो we will write down the amount of stock which comes to 975. And this has come from working note number 3. ठीक है? Done. So एक क्ल्यू कॉक से हमने फर्दर 2 क्ल्यू मिल गए और we are able to find 2 components of the balance sheet, 2 line items of the balance sheet. अब बताओ, now what would be our next clue? बोलो, कौन से रेशियो की हेल्प ले अब? Tell me, you tell me. FA upon net worth. ओके, तो उससे क्या मिलेगा? नेटवर्थ मिल जाएगा। ओके, सो नेटवर्थ इज नथिंग बट शेयर कैपिटल प्लस रिजर्व्स एंड सरप्लस। ठीक है, नेट वर्थ इज नथिंग बट द ओनर्स फंड। सो ओनर्स फंड इज व्हाट? शेयर कैपिटल भी ओनर्स का होता है, रिजर्व्स एंड सरप्लस, ऑल द रिजर्व्स आल्सो बिलोंग्स टू द ओनर। ठीक है, सो वी कैन कैलकुलेट दैट। सो वर्किंग नोट नंबर 4, calculation of net worth using fixed assets to net worth ratio। ठीक है, सो फिक्स्ड असेट अपॉन नेट वर्थ, fixed asset to net worth, how much it is given in the question? 1.3 is to 1. So 1.3 is to 1, correct? So my fixed asset is 39 lakhs divided by x is equal to 1.3 is to 1. ठीक है, कितना आया? So therefore my x is equal to net worth comes to rupees 30 lakhs. Everyone followed this? 30 lakhs. So net worth is nothing but total of these two, share capital plus reserves and surplus, which comes to 30 lakh. We still don't know the amount of share capital. We still don't know the amount of reserves and surplus. अभी तक हमें क्या मिला है? टोटल, दोनों का टोटल कितना है? 30 लाख है। बट 30 लाख में से शेयर कैपिटल कितना, रिजर्व्स एंड सरप्लस कितना, दैट वी डोंट नो स्टिल एट दिस पॉइंट। ठीक है, ओके, सो अब कौन सा रेशियो ले? बोलो, टेल मी विच रेशियो शैल आई टेक नाउ? विच रेशियो की हेल्प शैल आई टेक नाउ टू फाइंड सम अनदर लाइन आइटम ऑफ द बैलेंस शीट? कैपिटल गियरिंग। ओके, बट कैपिटल गियरिंग के लिए वी हैव कैपिटल नॉट बेयरिंग फिक्स्ड इंटरेस्ट। यस, वी डू हैव। ठीक है, वर्किंग नोट नंबर 5, reserves and surplus. Yes, this can also be taken. So first let's take reserves and surplus to share capital ratio. Calculation of share capital and reserves and surplus. So reserves and surplus to share capital is 1 upon 1.5. So when I say reserves and surplus to share capital is nothing but 1 is to 1.5, correct? So 1 is to 1.5. So when I say reserves and surplus, 1.5 reserves and surplus is my share capital ka amount? Yes or no? Just a simple cross multiplication. 1.5 reserves and surplus is equal to share capital. Yes or no? So now we know that share capital plus reserves and surplus is nothing but my net worth. We know this equation. Share capital plus reserves and surplus is nothing but my net worth, which comes to 30 lakhs. So now, can I say this share capital can be written as 1.5 reserves and surplus? Substituting this equation, plus 1 reserves and surplus is equal to 30 lakhs. So can I say 2.5 reserves and surplus is equal to 30 lakhs? Therefore, reserves and surplus कितना आ रहा है? 30 lakhs divided by 2.5, 12 lakhs. So this is calculation of share capital and reserves and surplus using normal mathematical equation. So balance sheet में this is 12 lakh and this is 18 lakhs balancing figure, and these two came from working note number Since I don't have space, I am writing over here working note number 5. ठीक है? Correct? So बातों में we have completed half of our balance sheet by just playing a simple game. Now someone told me, sir, use capital gearing ratio. So calculation of long-term debt using capital gearing ratio. So first of all, write down the formula for capital gearing ratio. It is nothing but capital bearing fixed percentage divided by capital not bearing fixed percent. So capital not bearing fixed percent would be your net worth. ठीक है? Net worth, that is nothing but share capital plus reserves and surplus. So 0.7875 is equal to X divided by 30 lakhs. ठीक है? This is nothing but net worth, share capital plus reserves and surplus, because they don't bear any fixed percentage. ये 30 लाख पे हमें फिक्स्ड इंटरेस्ट या फिक्स्ड डिविडेंड ऐसा कुछ नहीं देना है. तो कितना आया? Therefore X is equal to long term debt in this question comes to 23,62,500. ठीक है? So this comes to 23,62,500 and we have calculated using working note 6. Okay, so now only 3 line items are left: debtors, cash bank balance, current liability. So looking at these 3 line items, बोलो कौन से ratios की हमें help लेनी चाहिए? Which ratios shall we consider now to calculate the amount of current liability, debtors and cash and bank balance? Tell me. बचा क्या है अब? Can I say now only these 2 ratios are left? And इसमें ये 3 line item आ जाएंगे. Debtors collection period. Okay. We can use that debtors collection period. So let's use debtors collection period. Working note 7. Calculation of debtors using debtors collection period. So can I say the formula of debtors collection period is nothing but average debtors upon net credit sales. But since opening information is not given, simply just write closing debtors divided by net credit sales into, is it given in days or months? Months में दिया है ना, तो we will multiply it by 12. ठीक है? 1 is equal to X upon 90 lakhs into 12. Therefore X is equal to debtors. कितना आ रहा है? 90 divided by 12. 7,50,000. Done. So from working note 7, we calculated the amount of debtors, 7,50,000. Now just 2 line items are left: current liabilities and cash and bank balance. So now, last but not the least, we will take help of current ratio and liquid ratio interchangeably. So working note number 8. Calculation of current liabilities and cash and bank balance. So they have given current ratio, right? Current ratio is given. What is the formula of current ratio? Can I say it is nothing but current assets upon current liabilities? Yes or no? Simple formula, 2.5. So can I say 2.5 is equal to current assets upon current liabilities? So can I say current assets is nothing but 2.5 times of current liabilities? This is our first equation. Okay? Now tell me the formula for liquid ratio. Liquid ratio is nothing but current asset less stock divided by current liabilities. These current assets can be substituted with 2.5 current liabilities. So ये current asset को मैं 2.5 current liabilities लिख सकता हूँ. I have stock का value. So I can easily find current liabilities using this liquid ratio. Yes or no? So therefore, liquid ratio is how much? Liquid ratio is 1.5. 1.5 is equal to 2.5 current liabilities. I am substituting the value of current assets. My current asset is nothing but 2.5 times of current liabilities. I am just simply substituting this in the equation. Stock का value is 975, I guess. हमने already calculate किया था. So 975 divided by current liability. So therefore, current liability is equal to X is equal to how much? Once again current. Okay, let me first complete this. कितना आ रहा है? 975. ठीक है, so my current liabilities comes to 975. Working note number 8. So the total of balance sheet is 30 lakhs plus 23 lakh 62,500 plus 975. ये 650 है कि 975 है? $2.5 minus 1.5. 975 ही आएगा. 975 ही है. And the total of liabilities side comes to 63,37,500. So total comes to 63,37,500. So when I say my total of assets would also be 63,37,500. And बचा है जो वो cash balance होगा. So 63,37,500 minus 39 lakh minus 750 minus 975. 712,500 is my balancing figure. Understood? Now one student had doubt on current ratio and liquid ratio. So let me just explain that once again. So current ratio which is 2.5, that is given in the question. Current ratio का formula is current assets upon current liabilities. So 2.5 is equal to current assets upon current liabilities. So can I say my current assets would be 2.5 times of current liabilities? Yes or no? Simple mathematical cross multiplication. Now, they have also given, question has also given liquid ratio. So liquid ratio का formula याद करो. Liquid ratio is current assets less stock divided by current liabilities. Now this current assets, can I write it as 2.5 current liabilities? Yes. लिख सकता हूँ ना. This current asset is 2.5 current liabilities. So वही लिखा मैंने. 2.5 times current liabilities less 975, which is stock का value, divided by 1 current liability. So again, just a normal mathematical equation. And on solving the this mathematical equation, my current liability comes to 975. And that 975, I have entered the value in my balance sheet. So After that, the cash and bank balance is just by balancing figure. Will any doubt in this now? It is just a normal mathematical equation. Okay? So I guess there should not be any doubt now. So they have prepared on vertical format, and I have prepared on T format basis. But the answer is same. Total is 63,37,500. Long-term debt 23,62,500. Share capital 18 lakh. Reserves and surplus 12 lakh. Everything remains same. Okay? Now the second part. Second part is... Acha, before moving to second part, any doubts in first part? In any of the ratios? Or in any of the line items of balance sheet? Clear? Okay. So second part is statement of working capital estimation. So we know working capital is nothing but current assets. उसमें स्टॉक आ गया, डेटर्स आ गया, कैश बैंक बैलेंस आ गया, लेस करंट लायबिलिटीज. ठीक है? So this is the resultant figure would be excess of current assets over current liabilities. Then we add safety margin. Safety margin, or you can say provision for contingency. And the resultant figure is the net working capital required. ठीक है? You just need to substitute the above value. Stock was 975. Debtor was 750. Cash bank balance was 712,500. Current liability came to 975. So the excess of current assets over current liabilities comes to 1462,500. 1462,500. ठीक है? Add 15% to this. So 1462,500. 1462,500 plus 15%. 1681,875. ठीक है? So plus 15% करेंगे तो 1681,875 is my net working capital required. 219,375. बोलो any doubts? It was simple. Just हमें बैलेंस शीट से सारी वैल्यूज उठानी है. So in question number 3, students, do you have any doubts? Any queries? So the USP or the unique pointer in this question was a hybrid of two chapters, ratio and working capital. ये इस क्वेश्चन की खास बात थी. ठीक है? Let's move to question number 5. Very interesting question. Huh? Before starting with question number 5, I would tell you that, or I would like to revise or recollect the standard assumption. What were the 3 standard assumptions of this chapter? Batao. Question 3 का weightage would be around 6 to 8 marks, somewhere between 6 to 8 marks. Acha. So I've asked you a question. Please let me know the 3 standard assumption of this chapter. I'm waiting for your response. This is a very unique and a good question. All activities accrued evenly throughout the year. Yes. So unless otherwise specified, all activities accrue evenly throughout the year. Means if sales is of 12 lakhs in the entire year, so my sales in Jan would be 1 lakh, Feb में 1 lakh, March में 1 lakh. Acha, if the total sale in Jan is 1 lakh, then on 1st Jan it would be 1 lakh divided by 31. On 2nd Jan, it would be 1 lakh divided by 31. On 29 Jan, it would be 1 lakh divided by 31. Sorry. ठीक है, समझ रहे हो? Activities accrue evenly throughout there. So at any given point in, likewise, if you come at my go down, at any point in time, आपको same value का stock मिलेगा. ठीक है, this is what it means. But this assumption number 1, now in this question will not hold true because क्वेश्चन स्पेसिफाइज अदरवाइज. वो स्टैंडर्ड अजम्पशन कब यूज करना है अगर कुछ ना बोला हो तो, बट इस क्वेश्चन में अलग बोला है. सो दैट्स व्हाई दैट स्टैंडर्ड अजम्पशन विल नॉट होल्ड ट्रू एज फार एज ओपनिंग स्टॉक एंड क्लोजिंग स्टॉक इज कंसर्न. ठीक है, अभी तक टिल नाउ, टिल दिस पॉइंट इन टाइम, आवर ओपनिंग स्टॉक ऑफ एफजी, क्लोजिंग स्टॉक ऑफ एफजी वर सेम. Our opening WIP stock, closing WIP stock were same. So that's why cost of production and cost of goods sold were same. But in this question, that assumption will not hold true now. This is a unique adjustment of this question, a unique pointer of this question. Sir, वो कहाँ mention होगा? वो question में indirectly mention किया होगा. You have to catch those words. You have to catch those statements in the question. ठीक है? So हमेशा question पढ़ो. When you read the question, read it very, very, very thoroughly. Understood? So let's start. MA Limited is commencing a new project for manufacture of plastic component. The following cost information has been ascertained for production of 12,000 unit, which is the full capacity. So to produce this 12,000 units, ये सारे खर्चे, materials, labor, manufacturing and admin. So first point over here, very important. Till now, admin cost was added after COGS, assuming कि वो production से related नहीं था. After COGS, we used to add fixed admin, sorry, not fixed admin, but overall admin and selling and distribution, assuming that admin expense was not directly related to production. But here it is directly related to production. देखो first line में दिया है कि to produce this 12,000 units, following are the cost involved. So they have indirectly said that admin expense in this question will form part of cost of production. ठीक है, तो cost of production यानी कि COGS के पहले आएगा. I hope you followed this point. The selling price per unit is 96 and selling expense is 5, out of which 80% is variable. So can I say of the total 5 rupees of selling expense, 4 rupees is variable and 1 is fixed. Okay? In the first 2 years of operation, production and sales are expected to be as follows. Production in year 1 is 6,000 units, but sales, number of units sold would be 5,000. And in year 2, production would be 9,000, but sales would be 8,500. To assess the working capital requirement, following additional information is available. Stock of materials, 2.25 months average consumption. So this is nothing but raw material holding period. WIP to be taken as nil. Debtors collection period is 1 month. Cash balance 10,000. Creditors for supply of material. Creditors payment period is 1 month. And creditors for expenses is 1 month for all the expense. ठीक है? So ये जितने भी expense है ना, be it manufacturing, be it labor, be it material, be it selling, all are outstanding for period of 1 month. they are outstanding for a period of 1 month. ठीक है? Prepare a projected statement of P&L, ignoring taxation. Prepare a projected statement of working capital requirement. Yeah, first question says prepare P&L. The cost statement that we used to prepare is nothing but P&L only, na? Income statement ही था वो. Are you following? The cost sheet or the cost statement that we used to prepare is nothing but your income statement or P&L statement. Cost statement bolo, income statement bolo, everything is one and the same. And then working capital requirement. So that format, current assets less current liability ka format. Understood? But I told you that in this question, the assumption number 1, that is all activities accrue evenly throughout the year, does not hold true over here. मैंने पहले आपको ये बता दिया. But कहाँ से मेरे को ये पता चला? Tell me. From which statement, from which line, from which word, from which term, I got to know that the first assumption will not hold true over here. Directly तो कहीं पे भी mention नहीं है. So tell me, कहाँ से मुझे पता चला? Sales and production, okay. How sales and production se kaha se? Sales is 5,000, production is 6,000. Okay, that can be a hint, but the hint is on the very first line. Very first line. MA Limited is commencing a new project. So whenever a new project or new business is started, can I say opening stock तो कुछ भी नहीं होगा, but closing stock हो सकता है? Yes or no? Are you getting this? Opening stock would always be 0 when someone starts a new project or a new business. But there would be a closing stock. So can I say in this question, there is difference between opening and closing? So the first assumption will not hold true. Samjhe? So you have to read the question very carefully. Here, they have specifically mentioned, clearly mentioned that company is starting a new project, means a new business. So there would not be any opening stock, but closing stock would definitely be there. So there is a mismatch in opening and closing. So the standard assumption will not hold true. Understood? Is line se pata chala. So please read the question very, very, very carefully. Understood? So if that assumption does not hold true, our cost statement would be a very detailed cost sheet. Are you getting this? Our cost statement would be a very detailed cost sheet. So let's first prepare a cost statement. Statement of, you can say profit and loss, or you can say cost statement. ठीक है? My total maximum capacity or full capacity is 12,000 units. Full capacity is 12,000 units. Means maximum manufacturing of 12,000 units can happen in my factory. This is year 1 and this is year 2. Sir, 2 साल क्यों लिखा? Because question has specifically asked to prepare for 2 years. Prepare for the 2 years. ठीक है? इसलिए 2 साल लिखा है. So can I say now first my cost statement will always start with raw material consumption. So material consumed. बोलो कितना होगा my material consumed in year 1? In year 1, my production is 6,000 units. So to the proportion of 6,000 units, my material would have been used. So 6,000 into 40. कितना आ रहा है? 6,424. 240. 6,000 units into 40. And in year 2, my production is of 9,000 units. So 9,000 into 40. 360. Correct? 2 lakh. How 2 lakh? In year 2, it is 9,000 units. सेल्स नहीं, अभी स्टार्ट, गो स्टेप बाय स्टेप, डायरेक्ट सेल्स पे नहीं, हमने मटेरियल कंज्यूम से स्टार्ट किया है. सो गो स्टेप बाय स्टेप. Direct labor and variable expense. Second is labor expense. Again, in year one, 6,000 units is produced. So my labor cost would have been incurred for 6,000 units only. जितना माल बनाया उतना लेबर कॉस्ट हम भरेंगे. 6,000 into 20, which comes to 120. And in year two, labor has produced 9,000 units. So I will pay them 20 rupees per unit. 180, correct? Then we have fixed manufacturing expense. Fixed manufacturing expense. Tell me, fixed manufacturing expense की amount क्या होगा? Tell me, what would be the amount in year one? 6,000 into 6, sir. 6,000 units have been produced. And 6 is per unit cost, 36,000. No, friends, fixed expense is always incurred on full capacity. Let's say if my rent, fixed manufacturing expense includes factory rent, let's say 1 lakh. ये तो मैं 6,000 यूनिट्स प्रोड्यूस करूं, 1,000 यूनिट प्रोड्यूस करूं या 12,000 यूनिट प्रोड्यूस करूं, मुझे तो पूरा ही देना पड़ेगा फॉर द एंटायर फैक्ट्री. यस और नो? आई हैव टू बेयर फिक्स्ड कॉस्ट फॉर द एंटायर, फॉर फुल कैपेसिटी, irrespective of my production or irrespective of my sales. So here it would be 12,000 into 6, which comes to 72,000. And another mistake that student do over here is they multiply this with, अच्छा ये तो सेम ही रहेगा, 12,000 again into 6. Fixed cost remains same, 72,000. ठीक है? Understood? So fixed expenses are always incurred on full capacity, irrespective आप कितना प्रोड्यूस करो, कितना सेल करो. ठीक है? नेक्स्ट, डेप्रिसिएशन. ये shall we include depreciation? बोलो, shall I take depreciation in my cost statement? We have to follow cash cost approach. Cash cost approach. ठीक है? So we will ignore depreciation. I hope you remember to calculate working capital using cash cost approach. We ignore depreciation and we ignore profit. Okay, so we will ignore depreciation as of now. If you are following, see there are again two approaches. One is cash cost basis, which is very practical and very logical, because it gives you the estimation of working capital amount that is actually blocked in your business. So amount is neither blocked in depreciation nor it is blocked in profit. So cash cost is more practical and more logical. But there is also another approach called total approach basis. Total approach basis means you include depreciation as well and you include profit as well. So हम जो वर्किंग कैपिटल के लिए डेटर्स कॉस्ट ऑफ सेल्स पे करते थे ना, इंस्टेड ऑफ दैट यू यूज सेल्स व्हेन यू फॉलो टोटल अप्रोच बेसिस. ठीक है? बट ऑलवेज आई वुड सजेस्ट दैट फॉलो कैश कॉस्ट बेसिस बिकॉज दैट इज मोर प्रैक्टिकल एंड मोर लॉजिकल. अंडरस्टूड? हाँ, but as of now they have asked us to prepare a profit and loss statement. So in profit and loss statement, can I say depreciation तो खर्चे में आएगा ही आएगा. हाँ, so for the purpose of calculating profit and loss, you consider depreciation. But for the purpose of calculating working capital, उस टाइम पे depreciation को निकाल देना. Are you getting my point? To calculate profit and loss figure, because they have asked to prepare a profit and loss statement. So can I say depreciation लेना पड़ेगा because depreciation is an expense. It will reduce your profit. But while calculating working capital, you remove the effect of depreciation. Is everyone following this? Is everyone following this? ठीक है, वरना एक काम करते हैं, एज ऑफ नाउ हम डेप्रिसिएशन को रहने देते हैं, इग्नोर करते हैं, यहाँ पे पीएनएल को लिख देते हैं कैश कॉस्ट बेसिस. पीएनएल इज कैलकुलेटेड ऑन कैश कॉस्ट बेसिस, एंड once all the costs are calculated, after that last में to calculate the actual profit we will add the depreciation expense. लास्ट में ऐड कर देंगे. ठीक है, so fixed manufacturing is done. As of now let's ignore depreciation because we are following cash cost basis. Next is fixed admin. Fixed admin is rupees 4 per unit. So can I say 12,000 into 4 in year 1 and again same in year 2 because it is fixed cost. So can I say the total of all this is nothing but gross factory cost. कितना आया? 240 plus 120 is 360 plus 70 which comes to 430 plus 40, 470 plus 2 plus 8, 480. My gross factory cost comes to 480 in year 1 and in year 2 it comes to 360 plus 180, 540 plus 70, 610 plus 40, 650, 660. Correct? यही आया? Yes. Since our standard assumption number 1 does not hold true over here, can I say हम यहाँ पे cost sheet में क्या करते थे? We add opening WIP and we subtract closing WIP so that I can get my cost of production. Yes or no? यही था. But since the question specifically or directly says that WIP is nil, ignore WIP. So opening nil, closing nil, opening nil, closing nil. So can I say my cost of production would be 4,80,000 rupees in year 1 and 6,60,000 rupees in year 2. And this 4,80,000 rupees is incurred to produce 6,000 units. Are you following? ये 4,80,000 मुझे 6,000 यूनिट्स प्रोड्यूस करने में खर्चा हुआ है. दिस इज हाउ यू इंटरप्रेट दैट. आफ्टर कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन कैन आई से वी ऐड ओपनिंग एफजी and we subtract closing FG to get COGS. Yes or no? This was our format of cost sheet. हाँ, यहाँ पे opening FG is nil because company has started a new business, but there is a stock of closing finished goods. कितना है? Sir, in year 1 production is 6,000 and if I have sold 5,000 units out of 6,000, can I say closing stock would be 1,000 units? Yes or no? Simple. So 1,000 units would be my closing stock in year 1 and this closing stock would become my opening FG. Yes or no? In year 2. Are you following? This is a crucial part of this question. Sahi hai. Yes, Harshada, you are right. So can I say if 6,000 units का cost is 4,80,000, 1,000 unit का कितना होगा? Just cross multiply. How much would be my closing FG का amount in year 1? 480 into 1 divided by 6. 80,000. Yes or no? 80,000 rupees. Are you following? If 4,80,000 is the cost to produce 6,000 units. So out of that 1,000 is in my stock. So can I say 80,000 rupees का closing stock का value would be in my stock? Yes or no? Simple cross multiplication. So can I say यहाँ पे 80,000 होगा Yeah, are you following? Did everyone follow this? Well, any doubts still here? Because this is very crucial. So my COGS for year one comes to 4 lakh rupees, huh? And not ये add मत करना, closing stock को minus करना होता है. Don't add 80,000 to 4 lakh 80. You have to subtract the value of closing stock. So COGS comes to 4 lakh. Okay? And after that, I will add selling expense. Selling expense में भी दो है, fixed and variable. So the resultant figure would be my cash cost of sales. Okay? And if I add depreciation to it, I will get total cost of sales. And last but not the least, if I add profit to it, it would be my sales. Following students? So, okay. So in year one, my COGS comes to 4 lakh. Selling price. Selling price, can I say variable is rupees 4 per unit? Fixed would be rupees 1. Because लिखा हुआ है directly that selling expense is 5. Total selling expense is 5 per unit, of which 80% is variable. So in other words, 20% is fixed. Understood? Now tell me, selling expense would be on 6,000 units or it would be applied on 5,000 units. That is the units that I have sold. Selling expense किस पे लगेगा? Tell me. 5,000. But fixed selling expenses, again, it would be applied on full capacity. हाँ? जितने भी fixed खर्चे है, all the expenses that are fixed has to be applied on full capacity. So can I say this would be 12,000? 12,000 into 1. But this rupees 4, which is variable, has to be applied on 5,000 units. Are you following? So don't make mistake over here. Fixed expenses has to be applied on full capacity. Fixed expenses को कितना प्रोड्यूस हुआ, कितना सेल हुआ, उससे कोई लेना देना नहीं होता. So can I say my cash cost of sales is 4,32,000. And if I add depreciation, how much is depreciation? Depreciation is 10 per unit. Again, this would be applied on whole 12,000. This is 10 per unit. So depreciation is for the entire factory at full capacity. So when I say this would again be, this depreciation has to be provided on 12,000 units. So 120. So my cash cost or total cost of sales, now it comes to 5,52,000. Correct? My selling price is how much? Selling price is how much? Selling price is 96 rupees. So can I say 5,000 into 96 would be my sales का amount? कितना आ रहा है? 96,000 आ रहा है. 96 into 5,000 units. 4,80,000. So can I say in year one I have incurred a loss because my total cost is 552, whereas my sales is 480. 72,000 का घाटा हो गया year one में. It is a loss. Followed? बोलो any doubt in year one का profit and loss statement? Why I have added depreciation in last? So that working capital estimation के part में मुझे easy रहे. Because in that working capital estimation part, I have to ignore this. So that's why I've kept it at a very last point. Followed? Any doubts in year one, students? So now let's move to year two. So year 2 हम COP तक आ गए थे. We reached till cost of production. So can I say my total cost of production for 10,000 units is how much? 660 plus 80. 740, correct? And out of these 10,000 units, how much would be in my stock? बताओ year 2 में stock कितना होगा? How much units would be in my closing FG stock in year 2? So I've produced 9,000 units, opening के 1000. I had, so in my hand, in my factory, there is 10,000 units. From this 10,000, I have sold 8,500. देखो, selling number of units in year 2 is 8,500. So my closing stock would be 1,500 units and not 500. सिर्फ 9,000 minus 8,500 मत कर देना. This is another error which most of the students do over here. Opening का भी तो 1000 units है ना. So 1,500 units would be in my closing stock. So again, cross multiplication. To produce 10,000 units, my cost is 740. So how much proportionate cost would be for 1,500 units? 1,11,000. Sorry, कितना आया? 1,11,000. ठीक है? So my COGS in year 2 comes to 740 minus 1,11,000. 6,29,000. Correct? 629. Now again, fixed selling expense will remain same. It is to be applied on full capacity. Now variable expenses would be incurred on 8,500 units because my 8,500 units are sold. So 8,500 into 4, 34,000. So 629 plus 12 plus 34. 6,75,000. Yes or no? And again, depreciation would remain same in year 2 as well because it has to be applied on full capacity. So my total cost of sales comes to 7,95,000. And my sales in year 2 would be 8,500 into 96. So my sales amount comes to 8,16,000. And my cost is how much? 795. 816 minus 795. 21,000 का profit in year 2. ठीक है? So my profit and loss statement, or you can say cost statement, or you can say income statement is done. Are you following? Now the only part left is estimation of working capital required. Okay? So second part, estimation of working capital of working capital using cash cost approach. ठीक है? So number A, current assets. उसमें पहले आएगा raw material. Then we will have FG stock. Since we have to prepare for 2 years, यहाँ पे year 1, यहाँ पे year 2. So we have FG stock. Then we will have debtors. Then cash bank balance. The total of current assets is called as gross working capital. उसमें से less we will subtract current liabilities. Current liabilities में first would be payables or creditors. Then other expenses. Other expenses में there is labor. Then we have manufacturing expense. Then we have admin expense. And then we have selling expense. All these other expenses, all these 4 expenses are outstanding for a period of 1 month, which is given in the question. Tell me how to calculate raw material stock. Can I say the formula is nothing but raw material consumed into raw material holding period divided by 12, because answer is in months? Yes or no? Do you remember this formula or not? Yes, sir, we remember. So in year one, my raw material consumption is 2,40,000, and in year two, it is 3,60,000. How much is my holding period? 2.25 months. Question में दिया है 2.25 months is my holding period of raw materials. So tell me, year one में कितना आया? Okay, sir. Okay, Vivek, sir. Year one में it comes to 45,000. And year two में 360 into 2.25 divided by 12. 67,500. Correct? FG. How to calculate FG? Friends, we already calculated FG over here. 80 and 111. तो अब वापस मत करने जाना. Already closing FG calculate कर लिया. 80 and 111. ठीक है? So FG is 80 in year 1 and 111 in year 2. Then we have debtors. Can I say debtors ideally are based on sales? But since we are following cash cost basis, the actual amount blocked in debtors is just my cash cost of sales. Are you following? ये हमने सीखा था. Profit में amount block नहीं होता. Only the cash cost of sales is the amount that is blocked in your debtors. ठीक है? So what is my cash cost of sales in year 1? Can I say 432 and 675 in year 2? Yes or no? So 432. And how much is my collection period? How much is my collection period given in the question? Debtors collection period is 1 month. 1 month. So 1 by 12. बोलो कितना आ रहा है? In year 1, 432 divided by 12. 36,000 in year 1 and 675 divided by 12. 56,250 in year 2. ठीक है? This is done. Then we have cash and bank balance. How much cash balance is to be kept at all times? 10,000. So year 1 के end में भी 10,000 ही रखने हैं and year 2 के end में भी 10,000. ठीक है? So cash and bank balance of rupees 10,000 is to be kept at all times. From this, so tell me, how much is my gross working capital? Just add the figures of year 1 and year 2. So 45 plus 80 plus 36 plus 10. 1,71,000 is my gross working capital for year 1. And for year 2, it is 67,500 plus 111 plus 56,250 plus 10,000. 244,750. From this, I will subtract current liabilities. And first current liabilities is creditors. अब यहाँ पे भी ध्यान देना. Can I say creditors? I will buy raw materials from creditors. So tell me, what is the amount of purchase from my creditors? Tell me. My question to you. यहाँ पे भी students do mistake. How much is the amount of purchases that I have made from my creditors? How much is the amount of raw materials that I have bought from my creditors? Tell me. बताओ. बताओ. Anyone wants to try? Even though it's wrong, that's fine, but you should attempt. Try करना चाहिए. Just 1 minute of time I will give you to think. How much would be the amount of my purchases from creditors? Bolo, anyone? No one? Okay. Can I say my raw material consumption in year 1 is nothing but opening stock of raw material plus purchases less closing stock? Yes or no? Abhi tak, till now, the questions that we have solved, raw material consumption ka amount was our purchases ka amount. Why? Because opening RM and closing RM were always same. But in this question, my opening RM and my closing raw material stock would not be same, because there is some amount of closing stock, but there is no amount of opening stock. Are you getting this? So my raw material consumption cannot be my purchase ka figure. It has to be something different. Are you following? So my raw material consumption is 2,40,000 in year 1. My opening RM is 0. I don't know the purchase amount, but I know the closing RM. Closing RM is how much? 45,000 in year 1. Are you following? This is my closing RM ka stock. Yes or no? 45,000. So my purchases in year 1 would be 2,85,000 and not 2,40,000. Did you follow this? This is again a unique point in this question. There are two unique points. Opening FG and closing FG will not be same. Likewise, opening RM stock and closing RM stock will also not be same, because company is starting a new business or company is starting a new project. Are you following? So similarly, can I say I can calculate purchases for year 2 as well? So purchases for year 2. Year 2 ka my raw material consumption is 360. My opening raw material ka stock in year 2, can I say it would be 45,000? Year 1 ka closing RM. Closing RM of year 1 will be my opening RM of year 2. Yes or no? So 360 is equal to 45,000 I don't know the purchase, but I know the closing RM of year 2. It is how much? 67,500. So don't do mistake over here. This is very important. What students generally do, they take this amount as purchases. But no, that is wrong in this question. Why? Because standard assumption number 1 is not holding true in this question. So raw material consumption cannot be your raw material purchases. Okay? 67,500. So therefore purchases in year 2 comes to how much? 360 plus 67,500 minus 45. 382,500. ठीक है? समझा सबको ये? So my creditors would be valued on 285 in year 1 and 382,500 in year 2. ठीक है? And how much is the credit that my suppliers is allowing to me? Again, it is 1 month only. So 1 by 12, 1 by 12. So this comes to 31,875. And this comes to 23,750. A 382,500 divided by 12, it comes to 31,875. So my creditors is done. Now other expenses. Again, same thing. Year 1, year 2. But इस expenses में opening closing कुछ नहीं होता. Year 1, year 2. Tell me, how much is my labor expense in year 1? My labor expense is 120 in year 1 and 180 in year 2. So 120, and they are outstanding for 1 month. 180 again outstanding for 1 month. यहाँ पे दिया देखो लास्ट में creditors for expenses. Creditors means outstanding. 1 month's credit. ठीक है? So 120 divided by 12, 10,000, and 180 divided by 12, 15,000. Correct? Likewise, manufacturing expense. My total fixed manufacturing expense in year 1 is 72, and in year 2 it is again 72. So can I say outstanding manufacturing expense 72, 72, 12, 6, 6,000 in year 1, 6,000 in year 2. My admin, my fixed admin expenses in both the years is, I guess, 48,000. Yeah, 48. So 48,000 divided by 12 and 48,000 divided by 12 for year 2. So 48 into 1 by 12, 48 into 1 by 12, 4,000, 4,000. Last but not the least, selling expense. My total selling expense in year 1 and in year 2. My total selling expense in year 1 is how much? 12,000 plus 20,000, 32,000. And in year 2, my total selling expense is 34,000 plus 12,000, 46,000. Okay? So 32,000 and 46,000. Again, these are outstanding for period of 1 month. So 1 by 12. So this comes to 2,667. And in year 2, it comes to 3,833. Okay? So my excess of current assets over current liabilities is how much? My gross working capital is 171. उसमें से I will subtract payables which is 23,750 and I will subtract, कहाँ गया यार, गया मैं, 10,000 as well. I will subtract 6,000 as well. I will subtract 4,000 as well. And last but not the least, 2,667. So it comes to 124,583. And here it comes to 244,750. में से minus I will do 31,875. Minus 15,000. Minus 6. Minus 4. Minus 3,833. 184,042. Depreciation cannot be outstanding, so उसका कुछ नहीं करना है. So this is my. अच्छा, इसके अलावा is there any contingency provision? No. So this is my final answer. समझा? So the special adjustment or unique adjustment in this question was only about the standard assumption number 1 not holding true. उसके वजह से effect would be on changes in opening and closing FG stock, changes in opening and closing RM stock, which in turn will have effect on purchases amount. And it will also have impact on changes in opening WIP and closing WIP. Yeah? But since in this question WIP is nil, we have to ignore that. Well, any doubts in this lengthy but a very good question? Any queries, any concerns in any of the point? Weightage से कुछ लेना देना नहीं है अभी. Just focus on the concept. Again, 6 to 8 marks. I guess if you practice more and more, if you practice such kind of questions more and more, you can easily solve this question within 10 minutes. So for that, to solve this question within a span of 10 minutes, you have to practice more and more. Okay, so 6 to 8 marks. 8 marks. Around 8 marks. Okay, but any doubts as of now in this question? So you have to read the question very carefully. Does the question mention about or mention a statement like the company is starting a new business, company is commencing a new project? You have to read those terms very carefully. And from that terms, you have to catch that standard assumption number 1 will not hold true. ठीक है? आगे बढ़े. Let's solve question number 7. It is again a good question. In this question also there is one special unique point, special adjustment that we need to consider. But again, I'm repeating, follow the same format, follow the same process. First, prepare the format. After that, prepare a cost statement or income statement. Process, the way of approach has to be same. You have to just give the effect of special adjustment in that format. Baki sab same. Yes, if tax is given, then deduct tax from the profit. Means in year 1, since it is a loss, there would not be any tax. But in year 2, 21,000 का profit हुआ है, so you subtract that as well. ठीक है? You subtract tax. So this amount would be net profit before tax in that scenario. From this, we would subtract tax, we will get net profit after tax. ठीक है. So let's move to question number 7. No, it was no text, so that they have just given an additional clarity that ignore text. Although it is not given, but they have sometimes students have that urge ना, they assume that let's take 30% tax. सब question में अभी तक 30% आया है, so students have that urge to assume anything. So they have just given that additional clarity that ignore taxation any which ways. The management of Trucks Company Limited is planning to expand its business and consults you to prepare estimated working capital. So this company is already into existence. It is just planning to expand its business. So here standard assumption will hold true. यहाँ पे company is not starting any new business. Are you following? Sales domestic, which is at 1 month's credit. So if I sell it to my domestic customer, I give it 1 month credit. But I also have export sale. Export sale, I give 3 months credit to my export customers. Okay? And selling price, this is very important. This is the unique special adjustment of this question. Selling price is 10% below domestic price. So if my selling price at domestic market is 100, supposingly, my selling price to export market, to export customer would be 90 in that case. Are you following? So I'm giving discount to my export customer. Why? So that I can boost my export business. Understood? Materials used is 675 and suppliers extend 2 month credit. So this is creditors payment period and not the RM holding period. I am not holding RM for 2 months. Supplier is giving me credit of 2 months. So यहाँ पे confuse मत होना. Lag in payment of wages half a month means wages are outstanding point for half a month. Lag in manufacturing expense cash 1 month. Lag means outstanding. Again, selling administration expense is outstanding for 1 month. Selling expense is payable quarterly in advance. So when I say this is prepaid selling expense 112 500. So my selling expenses are 3 months paid in advance. Income tax payable in 4 installment, of which one falls in the next financial year. So this 168 had to be paid in 4 installments during the year. But 1 installment I am paying in next year. So can I say it is outstanding for 3 months? Pura ek quarter outstanding hai. So this is again outstanding income tax payable for a period of 3 months. I have to pay it for 4. I have to pay it in 4 installments in this year itself. But I'm paying 1 installment, 1 entire installment in next year. So it is outstanding for a period of 3 months. GP rate is 20%. Ignore WIP and depreciation. Company keeps 1 month stock of raw material and FG each. So this is raw material holding period and FG holding period. And believes in keeping 250,000 of available, including the overdraft limit of 75,000 not yet utilized by the company. So company keeps 250,000 of cash, but samne there is overdraft of 75,000. So overdraft either you can write in current liabilities or you can just net it off in the cash and bank balance. Either you write cash and bank balance of 250 and samne current liability mein 75,000, that is also correct. Or either you net it off and just write 1,75,000 in cash and bank balance. Okay? The management is also of the opinion to keep 10% margin for contingency. So this is safety margin. Calculate working capital required for the next coming year. Okay? So again, format will remain same. Estimation of working capital using cash cost basis. ठीक है? Format same. Current assets. Current assets में first would be RM stock. We have to ignore WIP. So I am not writing that and I am just directly writing FG stock. Then I have debtors. Correct? Acha, I have two types of customers, domestic and export. So here debtors would be of two types, domestic debtors and export customers. Why separately written? Because दोनों का credit period is different. ठीक है? Then I have cash bank balance. Acha, I have prepaid selling and distribution expense as well. So prepaid selling and distribution expense. This will give me gross working capital less current liabilities. ठीक है, उसमें creditors. Then I have outstanding wages given in the question. I also have outstanding manufacturing, outstanding admin. Then I have outstanding manufacturing expense. I have outstanding admin expense. And I have outstanding income tax payable. ठीक है. अच्छा, bank OD, I will just net it off with cash and bank balance. I am not writing it separately. So this is the resultant figure would be my excess of current assets over current liabilities. Add safety margin at 10% and the resultant figure is known as net working capital required. So the format is done. So first step, always after reading the question, you prepare a format. Once the format, the basic draft format is ready, you go on in preparing cost statement. Now the cost statement is very unique in this question. Huh? No, you don't need to write a note. It is very well understood. Now cost statement is very important over here in this question particularly. See, they have given sales, correct? And they've also given GP of 20%. So can I say sales minus GP? I can directly get COGS. Yes or no? I can directly get COGS. So let's calculate COGS first. Working note 1. Calculation of COGS. Okay? Now this is my domestic. This is my export. Okay? My domestic sales is how much? My domestic sales is 18 lakhs. Please pay attention over here. Huh? This is very important point. My domestic sale is 18 lakhs. My export sale is 8 lakh 10. So it total comes to 26 lakh 10. Okay? Now if I subtract GP from this, can I say I will get COGS? Yes or no? Directly we reached at COGS point. Are you following? Okay. So sales is 18 lakh and GP is 20%. So can I say my COGS would be 80% of sales? Yes or no? So bolo, kitna aa raha hai my COGS for domestic sales? 14 lakh 40. अच्छा, export में कितना आ रहा है? Export में कितना आ रहा है? बोलो ना, 648. Okay, 8 lakh 10 का 80%. But here is the mistake that you did. Please read this point. Now the special adjustment comes here. Selling price of export sale is 10% below domestic price. Means if let's say that selling price per unit of domestic sales is rupees 100. करेक्ट. तो ये 100 रुपीज का गुड्स बनाने में माई COGS, माई कॉस्ट, कैन आई से इट इज 80? यस और नो? बाकी का GP है. So to produce 1 unit of sale for domestic customer, my cost is 80 rupees. Hey, did you follow till here? अब ध्यान देना. Did you follow till here? Any doubts till here? The goods that I'm selling to my domestic customer, it is getting sold for 100 rupees, and the cost to produce or cost to make that good is 80 rupees. But as far as export is concerned, can I say my selling price per unit? This is per unit. Huh? Can I say my selling price per unit will be rupees 90 now? 100 minus 10% discount. Yes or no? But can I say my COGS to produce these goods, to make these goods, खर्चा तो 80 होगा ना? खर्चा तो कम नहीं होगा. I am giving discount in my selling price, but I am not getting discount in purchasing or in making that goods. Are you following? COGS, the cost per unit remains same. So can I say my GP in this case would be rupees 10? Yes or no? Instead of rupees 20. Did you follow this? ये मैं गुड्स जो बना रहा हूं वो तो 80 में ही बना होगा. हाँ, फिर उसको एक्सपोर्ट करूं या डोमेस्टिक में बेचूं, selling price will differ, but the cost of making that goods is 80 only. Did you follow this? Yes. So profit will be less in export, not in domestic. It will be less than domestic. Yes. Understood? So here my GP ratio, my GP margin is 20%, but here it is not 20%. Here GP ratio is 10 divided by 90 into 100. कितना आ रहा है? 11.11%. Are you getting this? So here my GP will be at 11.11%. Are you following? So 8 lakh 10 ka 11.11%. something 90,000. So my COGS comes to 2160. Acha. And after COGS, can I say I add two things? One is admin and one is selling and distribution, so that I can get cost of sales. Yes or no? Are you following? Did you follow this? After COGS हम क्या करते हैं? Admin को add करते हैं, selling and distribution को add करते हैं to get cost of sales. Yes or no? So I am adding this two. So how much is my total admin? My total admin cost is 1,80,000. So this is total. This is not for domestic or export. This is for both. And my selling and distribution is how much? It is 112,500. 112,500. So can I say I have to apportion this 180 between domestic and export? I have to apportion this selling and distribution expense between domestic and export. In which ratio? In sales ratio. Following? ये ratio में हम apportion करेंगे. Are you following? Because this 180 is the total admin expense. It is not for domestic. Neither it is only for export. It is for both. So we have to apportion this 180. बांटना पड़ेगा. And we will barting this in the ratio of sales. We will distribute this, apportion this in the ratio of sales. So can I say this one admin expense for domestic would be 180 into 18 lakhs divided by 26.1 lakh? Yes or no? Sales के ratio में मैंने apportion किया 180 into 18 divided by 26.1. It comes to 124 137. And for export, it would be 55,862. Likewise, selling and distribution will be apportioned to domestic and export in the proportion of sales. So 112,500 into 18 lakhs divided by 26.1 lakh. So this comes to 77,586, and the balancing figure is for export 34,914. Yes or no? So my total cost of sales for domestic comes to 16,41,723, and for export it comes to plus 55 plus 34,914, 810,776, and total 24,52,500. Okay. Now, if you look at the solution, ये आपका मैच नहीं होगा. Why? What institute has assumed in this question, that admin forms part of cost of production. Are you getting this? Admin is related to production. ऐसा assume किया है. ठीक है? But in absence of information, sir, confused after COGS. आफ्टर COGS आप फॉर्मेट याद करो. COGS के बाद हमारा फॉर्मेट क्या होता था? We used to add admin, we used to add selling and distribution to get cost of sales. Correct? So I've just added that both expenses. मैंने 180 ऐड किया, मैंने 112,500 ऐड किया to find cost of sales. Are you following this? But since sales are of two types, we have to apportion these two costs, admin and selling and distribution. So I've just apportioned this 180 between domestic sales and export sales in the ratio of their sales. Okay? I've apportioned this 112,500 of selling and distribution expense between domestic and export in the ratio of sales. Are you following? But in the solution, institute has assumed that this admin expense forms part of your cost of production. Are you following? Means वो COGS में ही आ गया. This is what they have assumed. If you see the note in the solution, दिख रहा है आपको ये? It is assumed that admin expense is related to production. This is what they have made assumption. But since in absence of any other information, we can assume otherwise as well, that admin is not related to production. So if it is not related to production, हमारा standard format जो हम follow करते हैं वो follow करने का. ठीक है? So this is my cost of sales. Why did I calculate separately cost of sales for domestic and export? Because of debtors. यहाँ पे दिख रहा है आपको debtors. Debtors दोनों अलग अलग होंगे because of difference in their credit period. This is 1 month, this is 3 months, and we know that debtors is based on cost of sales. So cost of sales for domestic is 41,723, 16,41,723, and for export my cost of sales is 810,776. इसलिए दोनों को अलग बाइफरकेट किया हुआ है. Are you following this? 16,41,723. So my debtors for domestic customer is 136,810. For export it is into 3 divided by 12, 202,694. Because my credit period to export customer is 3 months. ठीक है? Are you following this? Now FG. Can I say FG is based on COGS? Yes or no? COGS into FG holding period divided by 12. Correct? How much is my total COGS? My total COGS is 21,60,000. इसमें अब ब्रेकअप करने की जरूरत नहीं है. द ब्रेकअप, द बाइफर्केशन वॉज नीडेड फॉर माई डेटर्स. वाई? बिकॉज दोनों का क्रेडिट पीरियड इज डिफरेंट. दैट्स वाई. So I need to find the bifurcated cost of sales for domestic, the bifurcated cost of sales for export. उसके लिए सब कथा करी है. Did you follow this? So my COGS is 21,60,000. My FG holding period, I guess it is 1 month. FG holding period. Stock of raw material and FG is kept at 1 month. 1/12. ठीक है? So 2160 divided by 12. 1,80,000. My raw material stock is based on raw material consumption into RM holding period divided by 12. How much is my raw material consumption? My materials used is 6,75,000. Okay? So 675 into 1/12. 675 divided by 12. 56,250. Follow till here, everyone. The purpose of preparing this working note was just to calculate the bifurcated cost of sales for domestic, the bifurcated cost of sales for export. उसके लिए ये पूरा चार्ट बनाया है. बाकी इसका कोई लेना देना नहीं है. Understood? So my RM is done, my FG is done, my debtors is done. Now next is cash and bank balance. Cash balance is 250 less OD of 75,000. So I told you there are two ways. Either you write 250 in assets and deduct 75,000 under current liability, or you just take net. Okay, so 175 is my cash and bank balance. My prepaid selling and distribution. My selling expenses are 1 to 500 and they are prepaid quarterly in advance. Means 3 months in advance. So can I say 1 to 500 into 3/12? This is my prepaid selling and distribution. 28,125. So my gross working capital comes to just add RM stock plus FG stock plus debtors plus cash and bank balance plus prepaid 778,879. ये सबका यही आ रहा है टोटल करा. Please check it once. See, I am again repeating. Solution in module is considering admin expense as cost of production. But we are free to use another assumption as well because nothing is specifically mentioned in the question. 778,879. Okay, this is correct. Now creditors. Can I say I will purchase raw materials from creditors? So my raw materials purchased in this case would be equal to my raw material consumption only, because standard assumption number 1 holds true over here. And how much is the credit that my creditors are allowing to me? It is 2 months. It is not 1 month. 1 month is RM ka stock. 675 into 2/12. 112,500. Outstanding wages. Wages is outstanding for half a month. So can I say 540 is my total wages? Half a month. 0.5 divided by 12. 22,500. Outstanding manufacturing expense. Manufacturing expenses are outstanding for 1 month. And this entire manufacturing expenses are cash manufacturing expense only. दिया हुआ है. So 765 into 1 by 12. 63, 750. Outstanding admin. Admin expense are also outstanding for 1 month. So 180 into 1 by 12. It comes to 15,000. Income tax payable. I had to pay 4 installments within the entire year. But 1 installment I forgot to pay and I paid in next year. So can I say it is outstanding for a period of 3 months? So 168 is my total income tax that I had to pay in the entire year in 4 installments. But पूरा एक installments रह गया है भरने के लिए. So can I say into 3 by 12? पूरा एक installments I missed out to pay. 168 into 3 divided by 12, 42,000. So tell me the excess of current assets over current liabilities. 778, 879 minus 112,500 minus 22,500 minus 63,750 minus 15,000 minus 42,000. 523,129. Add 10%. 52313. ठीक है? Plus 52313. So 575,442 is my estimation or sorry, net working capital that I require. Correct? So इस question में the unique point was about GP of exports. This part was unique. Students generally, what they do, they just take COGS at 80% of export sales, which is wrong. Why? Because export sales की selling price per unit, sell those goods, वो तो same ही रहेगा, वो तो change नहीं होगा. Because बनाते वक्त we don't know whether we would be selling in export, we would be exporting those goods or we would be selling in domestic market. At the time of making or at the time of production, we don't know that, na? So वो तो 80 रहेगा. So in that case, GP would fall. So COGS amount would change. Any doubts, any queries? We would be ending this in a next 1 minute, and after that, Vivek Banerjee sir would conclude for today's session. Okay? So before we end, tomorrow we would be learning about managing your receivables. How to manage debtors. Now estimation of working capital is done. Now we are moving in their sub-components, in their sub-line items. We will take receivables management, then we will take cash management, then we will take payables management. So in tomorrow's session, we will start with managing of your receivables. How to manage debtors in the best interest of the company and in turn in the best interest of the shareholders' wealth. Acha, in tomorrow's session, we will also complete a one small topic which is there in working capital estimation called double shift. Double shift working. मान लो हमारी फैक्ट्री डबल शिफ्ट में काम कर रही है, तो what would have impact? What would be the impact on raw material? What would be the impact on WIP? What would be the impact on FG? We will learn that tomorrow. So impact of double shift working on RM stock, WIP stock, FG stock. And another small part, financing of working capital. मान लो हमने ये 575, this is the amount that we need. This we estimated. Now how to raise these funds? ये पैसा हम फाइनेंस हम रेस कहाँ से करेंगे? We will learn that tomorrow as well. ठीक है? So tomorrow managing of receivables, and second part impact of double shift working, third financing of working capital. Understood? Any doubts in today's session, students? I hope it created some value in your life. Okay, Vivek sir, you can just conclude today's session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah. Hello everyone. Again, my heartiest thanks to CA Duip Shah for such a nice session. And some of the takeaways of this session, I will tell you. The one positive aspect of Duip sir is that he tests your concept from time to time, either by way of questions, by asking you questions, or through the practical question also, different types of practical questions to further, so that you can take your concept further clarify your concept. Such as initially, as he started with the difference between the gross and the net working capital. It was very important, but if one is asking from time to time, one it ingrained in the mind also, that is gross operating cycle is, that it is raw material cycle plus work in progress cycle plus finished good cycle plus payable. So that is the gross. And if the payable is cycle is deducted from it, then it is the net working cycle. Then another important aspect is mentioned in this particular class is the very important assumption of working capital management is that all activities accrue evenly throughout the year. If nothing is mentioned in the question, if in this question, that particular question he was doing, first question, that nothing was mentioned in this question, because the company is commencing a new project. That was a new project. So there will be obviously with no opening stock. So this standard assumption that the all the activities actually evenly throughout the particular year will not be applicable in that particular question. So students are also requested to read the questions very thoroughly and just make up your mind how to go through the question first, and then you can attempt the question. So this is very important. And mm, another aspect which was very pertinent in this class also, that fixed cost has to be you can say beared on the full capacity, irrespective of what the company produces. So this is also very important, that fixed cost has to be you can say comments on the full capacity. And another aspect, last but not the least, that we ignore depreciation if we follow the cash cost basis. As it was mentioned in previous classes also, explained very well, that we follow the cash cost aspect also very practical, because the amount is blocked in cost only. So fiscal approach is also basis also followed, but this is the most practical approach, that is cash cost. Therefore, in working capital, the depreciation is generally ignored. He concluded by explaining the question number 7 by practically solving it. There was a different question, some tricky, one or two tricky aspects were there, that was very well explained in there. And in that question, the company was following the standard assumption. And it was clearly mentioned in the question itself that the company is an existing company and it is already and it is planning to expand. So the standard assumption will be applicable. And what was the standard assumption? That all activities active evenly throughout the year. So in the first question, the new company, that assumption was not followed, but in the last question, number 7, it was followed, because it was not a new company, it was an existing company and it is planning to expand. So on this note, we will be concluding this session. Thanks again to Dweep sir, and thank you so much, student, for your patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you, all the students. Or we can just end it.
So क्या आप conclude कर सकते हैं?
Yes. Okay. So tech team, we can end. Thank you. Yeah.